just like our memories for events are not photographic. I think they're this combination of actual verifiable details and then a lot of inference that you make.
So what have you learned about this kind of spatial mapping of places? How do people represent locations?
There's a lot of variability, I think that, and there's a lot of disagreement about how people represent locations. In a world of GPS and physical maps, people can learn it from like basically what they call like survey perspective, being able to see everything. And so that's one way in which humans can do it that's a little bit different. There's one way which we can memorize routes. Like I know how to get from here to, let's say, if I knew walk here from my hotel, I could just rigidly follow that route back, right? And there's another more integrative way, which would be what's called a cognitive map, which would be kind of a sense of how everything relates to each other. And so there's lots of people who believe that these maps that we have in our head are isomorphic with the world. They're like these literal coordinates that follow Euclidean space. And as you know, Euclidean mathematics is very constrained, right? And I think that we are actually much more generative in our maps of space, so that we do have these bits and pieces, and we've got a small task. It's right now not yet like we need to do some work on it for further analyses. But one of the things we're looking at is these signals called ripples in the hippocampus, which are these bursts of activity that you see that are synchronized with areas in the neocortex, in the default network, actually. And so what we find is that those ripples seem to increase at navigationally important points when you're making a decision or when you reach a goal. So this speaks to the emotion thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have limited choices, if I'm walking down a street, I could really just get a mental map of the neighborhood with a more minimal kind of thing by just saying, here's the intersections and here's the directions I take to get in between them. And what we found in general in our MRI studies is basically the more people can reduce the problem, whether it's space or any kind of decision making problem, the less the hippocampus encodes. It really is very economical towards the points of most highest information content and value.
So can you describe the encoding in the hippocampus and the ripples you were talking about? What the